Hello, hello. I hope you like slideshows. To get started, we will be putting everything that we will look at today into context. What are we going to look at today? We're going to look at The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is the third game of the Zelda franchise, released in 1991 for the SNES, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's talk about the context of the video game market up to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. In 1977, the Atari 2600 was released, and it marked the rise of the home video game consoles, but the rapid growth of that market led to oversaturation. There were many games being developed that were very, very bad and that no one wanted to buy. One of the incidents there people sometimes hear about is copies of the game E.T. being buried somewhere in a desert in America. So yeah, the video game crash in 1983 led to a major decline in the industry. People were not really happy about the video game market. They were burned more or less at that point. In the beginning, there were lots of games that were fun, but then they started just producing garbage more or less, trying to make money. So people lost faith in the video game market. But then Nintendo came around. Nintendo revitalized the market with the release of the NES in 1985. NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Notice how there isn't any mention of a video game console or a home console in there. As far as I know, that was on purpose. So they called that console an entertainment system to differentiate themselves from the video game market crash that happened 2 years prior. And they had success with that. The success of the Nintendo Entertainment System set the stage for the introduction of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System 5 years later in Japan and 6 years later in North America. In Japan itself, it's not called the Entertainment System, it's called the Famicom, the family computer, and the Super Famicom, but yeah. So now that we've talked about the console that's on, let's talk about the franchise this game belongs to, the Zelda franchise. The very first Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda, was released in 1986, 1 year after the Nintendo Entertainment System release. It was a groundbreaking game featuring an open-world, puzzles, and a fairly engaging story, and that game's success established Zelda as a major franchise for Nintendo. That was the first game, and it looked somewhat like that. Very basic, very little colors. The Nintendo Entertainment System wasn't a very powerful console. Zelda 2 went in a different direction. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link was released in 1987, 1 year after the first game, and it took a different approach. It was a side-scrolling game and it had RPG elements. Many people don't really talk about this game today, but at the time it was still commercially successful. It was a departure from style and it received mixed reactions from the fans, but it was still a commercial success. It looked somewhat like that. A bit more detailed because the side-scrolling gave Link more screen space, so the sprite was allowed to be bigger, was allowed to have more detail. And after those first two games, let's go back, 1987, they took a while. They started producing a third game, first for the Nintendo Entertainment System, but then they realized that they were going to release a new console, and then they started working on it for that. And so they produced A Link to the Past and released it in 1991, and allocated enough of a budget for it to feature a much larger game world and much more complex gameplay than the prior games, because they already knew the franchise was a success. Both of the prior games were a financial success. They knew people would look at this game and would be excited about it. And to put into context what game development at the time meant, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was written to fit on a 1 megabyte cartridge, and that was double the size of other SNES games, Super Nintendo Entertainment System games. And this allowed them double the space for more content and graphics. But just thinking about that the normal games were written within 512 kilobytes is crazy. With all of that context out of the way, we can get started and start looking at the game itself. I'm pausing the game here so we can just take a second to look at the title screen. We're looking at a lake with a forest in the background, with mountains and a castle. The logo itself features the title, the letters obviously, the Triforce, these 3 yellow rectangles, not rectangles, triangles that have been in the prior games, and a fairly detailed sword. The first impression the game wants you to have of it basically is of fantasy. It wants you to think of castles and medieval times and sword fighting and magic, more or less, from the Triforce. Let's keep going. Long ago, in the beautiful kingdom of Hyrule, surrounded by mountains and forests, legends told of an omnipotent and omniscient golden power that resided in a hidden land. Many people aggressively sought to enter the hidden golden land, but no one ever returned. One day, evil power began to flow from the golden land. So the king commanded 7 wise men to seal the gate to the land of the golden power. That seal should have remained for all the time. But when these events were obscured by the mists of time and became legend, a mysterious wizard known as Aghanim came to Hyrule to release the seal. He eliminated the good king of Hyrule. Through evil magic, he began to make descendants of the 7 wise men vanish, one after another. And the time of destiny for Princess Zelda is drawing near. And with that, we're thrown back to the title screen. Oh, let me erase that test player here. So let's talk about what we just saw. We're playing a game on a console that mostly does its graphics by sprites, by images that have been just defined as pixels that aren't supposed to change. Any change, like this, the wings of this fairy, the movement is just by replacing the sprites, by loading different images. The movement is just placing the image somewhere else. We have not arrived in the time where anything is rendered in 3D yet. But the developers of this game, in the years leading up to 1991, have already, just for the intro of the game, made what is more or less a cutscene in a pixel-style game like this, which I think is somewhat awesome. So yeah, let's talk briefly about this starting screen here. I still don't know why they chose this little fairy as a cursor. One thought would be to really drive the point home about this being a fantasy story, a fantasy adventure, a fairy as a symbol of magic. And the screen itself, they chose to portray more or less as a blackboard. I would interpret this with a wooden frame on some stone backgrounds. And yeah, the only options are to copy a save, to erase a save, and to start a new one. So let's do that. We will be calling the player character Link. Also, it's interesting to see how this grid also reaches down to the end button where you confirm this. Like, it just goes on. The E and the D are just like what the characters here are. So now we've created a save. Now we have our little icon of Link. And I don't know why he has pink hair in this game, but I don't know. I don't think it looks bad. We have 3 hearts, and we can start the game. Help me. Please, help me. We're starting right in the middle of the action. We already see the UI of the game. We see we're in a little house. We as Link are sleeping in a bed. Someone else, despite it being the middle of the night, someone else is not sleeping in a bed or anything, but just sitting in a chair, which is curious. Please help me. I am a prisoner in the dungeon of the castle. My name is Zelda. The wizard Aghanim has done something to the other missing girls. Now only I remain. Aghanim has seized control of the castle and is now trying to open the 7 wise men's seal. I am in the dungeon of the castle. Please help me. Link, I'm going out for a while. I'll be back by morning. Don't leave the house. So apparently, whoever is living with us here, whether it's our father, our uncle, or someone unrelated, they also heard the voice of Princess Zelda. Most likely. And they carry a sword and a shield, and they're just going. And we could just stay in our bed with our eyes wide open, but we could also just jump out. So this is our little house. It's a house where apparently 2 people live in. And it only has a bed, a table, 2 tables, and fireplace, and it's very bare bones. A few pots and a chest. The chest this is colored differently, like the color palette of this with its brown and its the chest, in my opinion, really draws the attention here in this room. So this is silent game design that wants the player to interact with it, so let's do it. And we get the lamp. Now we can light torches and see our way in the darkness. Help me, I am in the dungeon of the castle. And I know there is a hidden path from outside of the castle to the garden inside. I think this is a timed event, this second message. Like, the game trying to assure any player that wants to listen to the uncle or the dad or whatever, to the other man in the house that wanted to listen to them and wasn't sure if they were actually allowed to leave the house. This prompt reaffirms them, yeah, you should leave the house. The game won't start unless you go out. But we can also interact with these pots and can look. Apparently there are hearts inside of them, under them, I don't know. And we can smash the pots. And the heart disappears if we don't pick it up quickly enough. We can also grab onto things and try to pull them. And yeah. Apparently we can't use the torch right now because it's magic. And our magic meter is empty. The longer we stay in here, the more she's going to call out to us and ask us to come. But I still want to explore what the game is just showing us in the very first screen of the game. When we press start, this UI up there, the life bar, and those other icons, they come down, they slide down, and another menu shows up. And this menu tells us what we can do with which button, which I find interesting. Like, this big red rectangle with a big A on it tells us that we can lift, which is a lift.1. We can reach and talk and pull by pressing A. Remember, this game came out in 1991, roughly like a decade or 2 after video games have started to become a thing at all, so teaching the players what to do was still very important at many points. And also in the item section up there, the big green Y tells us we should press the Y button on the controller to use that. On the right there are some status things, but I don't think we need to go into them right now. These hearts don't do anything because our life is already full. And so I think we can head outside. It's the middle of the night, and it's not only raining, there's a storm, there's thunder. And the game puts us out here with barely anything around. Our house seems to be fairly isolated for some reason on a little hill. We can pick up these bushes. And we can see, okay, there's another way to get up there. And in general, this game, the game screens, Zelda really wants us to save her. The screen transitions happen each time we get to the end of one screen. Like, to some degree, all of this moves along with us. But at some point, the memory of the game doesn't allow everything to be loaded in at once, so there had to be some boundaries, and once we cross them, we get this little slide animation here. We can jump down this cliff, and there are soldiers all around us. What are you doing up this late, kid? You can stay up when you're grown up, now go home. I see you brought a map so you don't get lost. Press the X button to see your map. That button didn't work when I was inside, but now we're allowed to look at it. This interesting way of looking at a map is also a new feature of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System that the previous one, the Nintendo Entertainment System, didn't have. This is called Mode 7, and this is the only thing close to 3D operations that the console was capable of. This image of the map has been tilted slightly, and we can look at it from an angle, more or less, which is trying to give us a more dynamic view of everything. This is one of the very few things in the game that's not just a sprite, not just an image that is being rotated, stretched. Rotated, I mean, in 90 degrees, for example. This is made into a plane, and yeah. The aliasing all around when I move up and down along the rivers, along the house, along every edge is an indication that this is more than other rotations in this game. I want to look what's down here. This is not the direction I should go in. You look strong for a kid. How much can you lift? Press the A button while touching a thing to lift it. I'll bet you can't wait until you are old enough to use a sword. Press the B button to use your sword when you get it. That mark on your map must be your destination. So, lots and lots of hints. Right, the map. This is the last thing that would tell us if we don't know where we're supposed to go. Any of the directions we went to the right, tried to go down from this little house, now we're trying to go down and left. Everywhere were soldiers, and all of them told us to look at our map. And if we kept talking to them, they eventually now told us, we think that X on your map is where you're supposed to go. You can often find valuables in chests. Press the A button in front of the chest to open it. Us soldiers have been around, kid, but you can learn a lot from us, but you already know that. And I think now, yeah, now the text repeats, so now we can actually get started. Right now, we can't do anything. The only thing we can do is run around. We don't have a sword, we don't have a shield, we have a lamp, but that lamp works by magic, and we don't have any magic to go around. Here's a shield, a sign, and apparently the king will give 100 rupees to the man who finds the descendants of the wise man. That's the first example of we can read things by pressing A. But we can also pull things and throw them and smash them. This seems to be knee-high grass. more or less? Or, yeah. Well, these are bushes. Can still look around a bit. Okay. I don't think there's anything left to explore here. Let's not keep her waiting any longer. In theory, one would think that that the other man who was with us in the house would hopefully already save her. Hey, hey, you're not allowed in the castle, son. Go home and get some sleep. Okay, so we can't go in through the entrance. Let's check out on the left side. But, as you can probably imagine, that man... The man that went off with his sword and his shield, he isn't likely to be the one who's going to save Princess Zelda. Otherwise, there wouldn't be much of a game for us to play. Nothing to see on the left side. Let's go up here. And up here, we see... Okay. Zelda, please let me play the game. Okay. Here we see... Okay. The path ends here, and there's a bush with some strange markings around it. Let's pick that one up. And there we hear the chime that means that we solved the puzzle. And there's a hole, and we're going to jump into it. And there's our friend. Link, I didn't want you involved in this. I told you not to leave the house. Take my sword and shield and listen. You can focus power in the blade. Hold the B button. Then release it using the secret technique handed down by our people. Link, you can do it. Save the princess. Zelda is your... And apparently he was either defeated by something, or... Now that I think about it, he might have hurt himself falling down here or something. I think it is implied that he tried to fight his way in here and was defeated. And apparently, whoever our ancestors were, they just passed down to us the technique of swinging our sword around and collecting energy in it, which is interesting, which goes back to the fantasy and the magic theme. But yeah, now we have a sword and we have a shield. The shield is nothing we can actually actively use. The shield is only passive. So, oh god. If it was better at this game, I could have tried... Let's take one of them out. Like, we can try... Okay. We could try to position ourselves in a way that the shield would block their little sword. Okay, maybe this doesn't work for this enemy, but I think for arrows at least it works. Let's hope we can find a heart soon, so we don't have to listen to this. Yeah. And we just found a little green pot here that gave us a little bit of energy. Magical energy. Which means we can finally set fire to things. We can make this room a bit brighter. And for some reason, they apparently keep a chest on a little pedestal down here in what is either the sewers or the basement with 5 rupees in it. Interesting. So now we're heading up into the castle, into the inner part of the castle, and now we can cut the small grass and cut the bushes. And inside the bushes there can be rupees and there can be hearts, normally. And by holding our sword like this, we don't have to do this, we could just run through it. And now that this guard has spotted us, they're trying to attack us. I think this is different from the behavior from the guards we just saw down there. The first 2 guards were just the game introducing us to the concept of enemies, which didn't chase us at that point. But now, this enemy has spotted us, and they're trying to get to us. They're not very smart, but they're trying to get to us. And they also have a long sword. They look like a different enemy type now that I think about it. These only have little daggers, more or less. But this one has an actual sword, and he's someone who chases us once he sees us. And we can cross swords with him with a nice little sound effect. But the way to actually deal him damage, one of the efficient ways to actually deal him damage is to hold out our sword and let him run into the sword. Yeah, these ones, they are apparently not getting paid enough to do their job or something. They're more like moving scarecrows or something. And the ones on top of there, they're definitely looking at us, but they're not doing anything either. We're breaking into the royal castle. We're apparently just a little boy from what the other gods told us. We just took the sword and shield from the man who we were living with, and apparently now we're going to fight the king and free the princess. Listen to the music. We have a red carpet here. We have several fires that are being lit up to light the way. This whole room is fairly big compared to everything we've seen so far. And the music is trying to be both imposing and a little bit dark, in my opinion. This isn't the castle of our friend. This is a castle where a princess is being held inside of a dungeon. Didn't mean to do that. When we press the map button, we learn that there are apparently several floors. We don't have a map itself, but this is more or less our memory, let's call it that. There's this big room we're inside right now. We could go one up, but there's a long way down, which makes sense because of the dungeon and everything. So going up wouldn't make any sense, because a dungeon is normally at the bottom of the castle. Here's another enemy. He has 1 more health than the green ones from before. Oh, this is likely the throne room? Yeah. But there's nothing for us to see here. We can just vandalize the place if we like, but there's not really... We have a job to do. We have a princess to save. What are we doing in the throne room? This is the opposite direction. but we can still do a little bit of sightseeing while we're here. We already saw that this is the castle wall, and here is a very creepy looking eye thing on the ground and a laser beam that's blocking a door. And we get shocked when we try to touch it. I want to see if we can... yeah, interesting. After Aghanim took over, everyone began to act strangely. I suppose it's only a matter of time before I'm affected too. Interesting, I didn't actually know that. So... the evil wizard who took over cursed the soldiers and the king, and some of them, which the game marks as the ones with the yellow armor, still are unaffected and are able to talk to us. So the ones who were preventing us from not going to the castle, and this one, are the only soldiers left, most likely, that we've seen so far, who are not under the control of the evil wizard. But now it maybe makes a bit more sense that these other guards were not able to chase us around. Like, it would make sense that somehow the curse would prevent them from being completely there. But, you know what I mean? Their minds could be clouded by the magic. That would be an explanation that would make sense. And if you were listening very carefully right now, you might have noticed that the sounds of me picking up the pot and throwing it and everything were blocking some of the instruments of the music. The background music that is playing and the budget for the sound effects is limited. So there is a limit to how many sounds can be played at the same time, and if too many effects are going on at the same time, some parts of the music stop playing. Because, again, this game is only 1 megabyte big. The console it was released on was very limited in terms of its hardware, and they made do with what they had. We got a key for this door. I don't know what these statues are supposed to be. They look like knights with a little helmet with wings or something. And there's another chest. And we got the map. Apparently, we need to go through a big room below us on this floor. Go to the left, then up, and then we only need to go 2 floors down to get to the lowest place in this castle. This animation is also very cute, if you don't think about that he just fell to his death. Although I don't really know what this is supposed to be. Why is there an abyss in the middle of the castle? Like, someone must have dug this, and yeah. Maybe this is one of the parts where game design was chosen over internal logic. But yeah, just look at this room. This room doesn't even try to sell to you any semblance of logic in its design from what would be realistic or not in a fantasy world. It's just game design. It just wants to give you the opportunity to fall down here. Here, the game introduces us to the concept of several heights in one room, taken to the extreme of there being a pathway above us that obstructs our view. We can go up here, and we can go this way. And there's another layer down here. But there's apparently also an area down here where we can stand. And Link is apparently so good at sword fighting that he can defeat enemies while looking away from them with his magical spin attack. Despite probably never having held a sword in his hands before now. If the man who was living with him had to tell him about this technique. We get a boomerang, the first item we can actually use freely. Select an item, press the start button. We press the start button, and we can switch between these two now. And now we have a little boomerang. We have a key, so we can continue. And now we're heading into the dungeon. The lowest part of the castle where prisoners are being held. The implication here, I think, is that you hit the enemy on the head with the boomerang and knock them out for a second. He just stopped moving there. But he didn't take any damage, he was just paralyzed more or less. And now we have the first bigger enemy. Not big enough to warrant boss music, but he has a big morning star. I think it's called a morning star. And he is actually a bit dangerous. I don't know if he is actually... Okay, yeah. He's vulnerable to the boomerang, but less so than the guard. The guard was back on his feet way quicker. No, the other way around. This one is way quicker on his feet than the guard was. Let's reset the room. Yeah, the guard is back there. We can look at him, and we see he takes a really long time to get back there. Oh no, that was not what I meant to do. At least we got that heart back. What my plan was is to pick one up these pots and use them as a thrown weapon. Because pots actually do deal damage, and apparently a good amount of damage. I think I hit that guard with my sword once, maybe? But 2 pots are apparently enough. You got the big key. This is the master key of the dungeon. It can open many locks that small keys cannot. Thank you, Link. I had a feeling you were getting close. Link, listen carefully. The wizard is magically controlling all the soldiers in the castle. I fear the worst for my father. The wizard is an inhuman fiend with strong magical powers. Do you understand? And this is what has become more or less a meme in the Zelda franchise. I don't know if anything like it was in one of the first Zelda games, but you can just keep going But at least here, they assume that you did understand everything, and they don't put the cursor on not at all. But this is one of these places where you can just make characters repeat themselves over and over again. Alright, let's get out of here before the wizard notices. I know a secret path, but first, we have to go to the first floor. And now, we have an escort mission. Only... this is probably my favorite escort mission in every game that exists that has an escort mission, because we don't have to actually protect her. She just follows us around and she can't take any damage as far as I know. Okay. I don't know why I went into this room. I think the first game to introduce an actual companion must have been Ocarina of Time with Navi. These first games didn't have anyone. Some might say it was a better time. Oh god, oh god, oh god. See, the guard didn't do anything to Zelda. The hearts are also an abstraction that they didn't bother to justify in any way, shape, or form. You just find hearts, and you pick them up, and your hearts go back up. Where some modern games have food that you pick up that restores your health, this game just said, we already have the sprite for health, we are within a very, very limited budget of memory, and we're just going to use hearts. They kept that tradition in the later games for a long time, as far as I know. In Breath of the Wild, for example, there was, however, the option, they started also implementing food that would heal your health. But I think there might have been also heart drops in that game. Twilight Princess and games around that time still had hearts in them, if I recall correctly. There is a secret passage in the throne room that leads to the sanctuary. I'm sure the old man there will help us. So back up to the throne room where we already were. Well, maybe let's actually explore the castle fully. We don't know when we will get another chance to look at it. So we haven't looked at the right wing. Okay, yeah. Interesting. I think the reason she told us this again wasn't time-based or anything, but because this was the exit, what was the other way we could have come into the second floor. Like, there was just a flag that said it's likely you should play this there. Yeah, here. The rooms we've been to are bright blue, and the ones we haven't are dark blue. Let's just, for completionist's sake, take a look at what this room was like. There doesn't seem to be much different from the other route, from the route we've taken initially. I think this zone, once this map is being loaded, once you step somewhere around here, she says that, and probably the other door as well. Let's try it out. Yeah. They could have coded it so that stepping on one would disable both, but I don't think it would have been necessary, and they didn't really have a lot of code lines to spare. That ornamental shelf should be open. Do you have a light? It's pitch dark inside, and you can't see without one. If you're ready, let's go. Help me push it from the left. This is something I just noticed, but normally when I push something, she doesn't do anything. But as soon as I push against this one, no matter from which side, she comes to help us, even when we completely ignore what she said and try to push it from the right side. And it's dark inside of here. There are bats around, by the sound of it. Let's pick up our strongest weapon, the pot. Okay, mice actually. Oh god. Well, it finished itself off by attacking me and causing me to drop the pot in its face. Apparently our boomerang is also glow in the dark. And we can also knock out the mice. I'm obviously just joking. I think it would have been too much effort to actually calculate when any dynamic objects are inside or not inside the this little beam of light we have here. Also, I could have just turned on the light like she told me to. The reds and such, everything on the map that's normally there. Come on. Oh, actually they just bump us and don't do any damage. And something's wrong with these torches, because they don't burn long at all. Snakes! They should really get an exterminator down here. What good is a secret path that allows royalty to escape their castle if they get attacked by several dozen snakes when they try to flee? Either no one has taken care of this for a long time, or someone explicitly was trying to make it so that they wouldn't be able to escape if they ever needed to. There are the bats. We got a key. Let's light up the room and try to hurry. After passing through these sewers, we will be very close to Sanctuary. Let's be careful. This seems to be water that is a bit deeper, apparently too deep for these rats to follow it, at least, to go into it. Because this poor little one, however it got there, doesn't really want to get out of there. But it had a lot of rupees on its hand. Those were 20 rupees. That red was almost as had almost as much cash as I had at that point. Maybe it was trying to protect itself and its wealth on that little island there. Who knows? The light apparently passed between these rooms, which is also something interesting to note. So we were able to ignite lamps in here. And they still lit up this room. But they're still on a timer and now they're fading. And there's an interesting little area. And we haven't really bumped into walls with our sword before, but for comparison, this is what it normally sounds like. This is what it normally sounds like. And the game, if we choose to investigate this with our sword, tells us, yeah, it's not just the visual, there's definitely something there. Another rich mouse. And here are some blocks, which are set up as a little bit of a puzzle, perhaps? But it's a puzzle you can't fail, by the looks of it. Something else that we apparently can't do anything about. We can try to set fire to it, but nothing. We can throw a boomerang at it, but nothing. All of these blocks don't seem to be push or pullable. I just find these sprites very cute, by the way. There's a lot of love that was put into the game, I think. And now we're going back up. We went into the sewers and followed them for a bit, and now we're heading back up somewhere where the walls are brown apparently compared to the royal purple. The sanctuary is what Zelda called it. Oh, something else? Can I? Yeah. Oh, okay, the pots don't respawn, at least here. I'll try to change the map like this to make the pots reappear. Also, apparently we can't go back. This is something else I just noticed. Oh, yeah, this is... It's not a puzzle, it's a one-way gate. This block is pushable, but not pullable. And the only way to push it, if we're coming from this direction, is this way, and this doesn't help us. So this is game design that prevents us to go back. The game doesn't want us to follow this way. Now the pots are back, and now something else I want to show off. I think when you're carrying a pot like this, you're not allowed to go through doors. I don't exactly know why this is, but you can't take the pot with you into the next room. Sanctuary is just beyond that door. Pull the switch over there. Didn't she say that earlier? Is she saying this every time? Yeah, okay. Every time we enter this room. The switch over there. You have to pull the lever to open the door. She just said the lever over there. But there are two levers. Which lever should I pull? Does anyone want to pitch in? This is something like a puzzle, but not an actual puzzle, because you get no information. This is just gambling. You have to pull a lever, but maybe some of them is wrong. Maybe one of them gets you electrocuted. I don't actually know which one is the right one, but I think I remember that if you pull the wrong one, a bunch of snakes drop down. Let's go with the left one. Yep. Look at this. Just look at this. Communication is key. Zelda could have saved us from snakes getting dropped onto our head if she just would have been more specific in what she was asking of us. I don't really know what they were thinking when they made this room. Like, I don't think this is a very fun game mechanic. It serves as a way of telling you about the game world and about dangers and traps and difficulties, but your choice is random, so yeah, it's not an active element of game design. And we've arrived in a church. Princess Zelda, you are safe. Is this your doing, Link? Yes, it was Link who helped me escape from the dungeon when I was captive. The wizard said, once I have finished with you, the final one, the seal of the wise man will open. Link, you must not let the land of Hyrule fall into the wizard's clutches. I don't know why I thought the person speaking changed in the middle of the text box there, but let's ignore that. If he releases the seal of the seven wise men, evil power will overwhelm this land. Before that happens, before it's too late, destroy the wizard before he destroys all of Hyrule. You can do it, you can... I sense that a mighty evil force guides the wizard's actions and augments his magic power. The only weapon potent enough to defeat the wizard is the legendary Master Sword. It is said that the village elder is a descendant of one of the seven wise men. Maybe he can tell you more. I will mark his house on your map, but watch your every move. I am certain that the castle soldiers will be looking for you now. I will hide Princess Zelda here. Do not worry. Seek the elder. Do you understand? At least they trust us here. And there is a chest where apparently he's just keeping another human heart. Let's not think too deeply about that either. Meet the elder of the village and get the Master Sword. He makes it sound really, really easy. And Zelda believes that we can save Hyrule. And now we're on our own. Let's switch to the boomerang so I don't accidentally set things on fire. But yeah, we're all the way over here. We were at this castle. We're all the way over at the church here. And there is an X in the village. Let's take a look at the map as a whole. I find it very curious that this land seems to be made up of a large village to the left, the castle in the middle, and our house just in front of the bridge to the castle. Like, what is our house doing here? You could argue that this house is also a bit special, in that it's not directly in this village. But I just find it very weird that there's also all these trees around it. And it's on this little cliff. I find it very curious if any thought of lore went into this, if there was any internal reason why this house would stand here. Like, it is more or less the middle of the map. So, game design-wise, it makes sense. But, yeah. It's just one thing. Get the Master Sword. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, I like easy lists. Just one thing to do, and then we can go home and eat dinner, and everything's over. Just one little thing. Like 20 minutes, and we'll be done. Easy. Like, there's no way that this person will ask us of anything in return, or tells us that he doesn't know where the sword is, or that we will need to do anything to be allowed to get the sword or anything. Actually, yeah. Let's just finish this game real quick. Let's my god, birds. Birds. I know it just leaves. Okay. Actually, let's just head into this forest. I have a gut feeling that we will be done much quicker if we just head in there instead of going to some spot that was marked on a map for us. I also really like this forest. The little overlay that's supposed to be perhaps the lights breaking in through the crowns of the trees, or smoky, not smoky, like clouds or something. It's very ethereal, and the music is also very... Oh my god, why the hell is the... Apparently, one of the soldiers was just sleeping in the bush here. Perhaps he was out drinking last night, or... I really don't know what other explanation there would have been. Ah, right. It's right. It's not a one-step process. There are actually two steps, so it's double the effort. We don't only have to get the sword, but we also have to fight the wizard. I forgot about that. So not 20 minutes, but more like 40 or something. Okay, interesting. A sword in the ground. A to pull. This is it! The Master Sword! No, this can't be it. Too bad. but it deals a lot of damage at least. Apparently, someone just put a fake Master Sword in the ground here, in the middle of the forest, next to the guard that's sleeping in the bushes. And let's not talk about whatever that creature is. But this is not everything I want to look at currently. Here is a little dancing mushroom that I also didn't mean to pick up. But we're going to do it since we're already here. And this mushroom smells like sweet, rotten fruit. We can give this to anyone who wants it. But let's follow this way here, I think. And there apparently was a landmine under these bushes. Look where you're going! Oh my god. There is a real chance of us dying here. Another fake sword over there. But let's not look at it, but go this way instead. Is this a Disney movie? What's happening here? Animals dancing around? I'm sorry for the heart beeping sound, but... I have a feeling that this is the real one. But for some reason, it's not easy to pull out. And the animals are just really happy here. Let me show you what quick travel, how a quick travel worked in 1991, this way. That's what I meant. And now we're back. We aren't at full health, but 3 hearts is better than half a heart. And now we can actually, oh god, do what the game wanted us to do. Seems like we aren't the chosen one. What a pity. Guess we can go home. Guess there's no point in talking to any village elders. But let's do it anyways. Also, chicken. The Legend of Zelda and chicken. What could possibly go wrong? This chicken is immortal, so don't feel bad for it. I was actually fairly certain that something was supposed to happen here. Ah, right. And the game can't even handle the amount of chickens it's spawning in right now, so we're going slow-mo. Let's talk to a fortune teller. You look, you might have an interesting destiny. May I tell your fortune? I'll make it cheap. Let's see what they mean by cheap. Hocus pocus, you will find the elder Zahasrahla. Now I will take 15 rupees. I hope you will be healthy. Yeah! 15 rupees for telling us he's not a fortune teller. He's a motivational coach. He just told us he believes in us. We can find the man. He didn't tell us anything else. 15 rupees to tell us you will do it. And we've arrived in Kakariko. A very calm and peaceful village. Hello. Hey, here's Link, the wanted man! Soldiers, anyone, come quickly! Some people just are out for trouble. There was really no need for that. Oh, Link, the rumors say you kidnapped the princess, but I still trust you. And that person is apparently very shy? Wait, what? And he can teleport! This is amazing. But yeah, enough wasting time. We were supposed to go to the house on the top right. But in theory, there would be a lot of things we could do right now to get more items, get more rupees, get to just explore. This is the 1998 version of an open world game. Who? Oh, it's you, Link. What can I do for you, young man? The Elder? Oh, no one has seen him since the wizard began collecting victims. What? Master Sword? Well, I don't remember the details exactly, but long ago, a prosperous people known as the Hylia inhabited this land. Legends tell of many treasures that the Hylia hid throughout the land. The Master Sword, a mighty blade forged against those with evil hearts, is one of them. People say that it now is sleeping deep in the forest. Do you understand the legend? Anyway, look for the Elder. There must be someone in the village who knows where he is. You take care now, Link. Okay, so I forgot about that part, but that's basically where the game would tell you you can go look inside the forest, and then it tricks you by making you think that you would found the sword on your own, but then it's just a fake, and if you look around enough you can find the actual one, but you just don't know what to do with it. It looks like you're not worthy of pulling it out at that point. Hey, here's Link, the wanted man. Soldiers, anyone, come quickly! There are so many people who should really just mind their own business in this place. But at least there's only one soldier stationed at this village. This house is fairly interesting, if you think about it, because it's been overtaken by these bushes. You can't really get in unless you cut them down. Which would imply either... Oh, a ferry. Which would imply either that this house is abandoned, or that the person living inside of it hasn't come out for a long time. Hi, Link. Sorry about my yard. It's a little overgrown. Thanks for visiting. I'm glad to have company to talk to. I will tell you an interesting story. There is a lake swimming with the Zoras at the source of the river, but it is hard to find. The treasure of Zora can turn people into fish. I'd love to see that. So this person apparently lives here. This place is neither abandoned nor is anyone living here who hasn't exited for a long time. This man lives here, and the only furniture in his house are 6 beds. Okay, he has a cooking place, but he has no tables. Perhaps, also, so probably not even any dishes, any plates to put food on. He just has 6 beds in here. And no wonder he doesn't cut the bushes, because apparently they regrow within 2 minutes. This seems to be a little bar. The game's telling us if you find a way to get to the other side, there's a little chest for you. Let's keep that in mind. Let's talk to these 2 people. Someone who likes their drink. Is he going to drink from it again? Ah, here. Interesting. Wow, I saw her, a very nice young lady, at the Waterfall of Wishing, in the hills where the river begins. Ling, you should meet her at least once. I'm sure you will like her. My son really liked to play the flute. When he went to look for the golden power, has not returned. I wonder where he is and what he is doing now. And all of these things are actually fairly important because, as I may remind you, this game was written to fit inside of 1 megabyte. Every character they put anywhere, every line of dialogue they wrote, had to be chosen very carefully. Just by going around, we can find chicken. And the chicken did the smartest thing it was able to do. It went somewhere where I can't get it at all. And we find a magic bottle. We can store an item inside and then use it later. Right now it's empty. Let's talk to this person. Hi, Link. Elder? Are you talking about the grandpa? Okay, but don't tell any of the bad people about this. He's hiding in the palace past the castle. I will mark the spot on your map. Here you are. And now we know that we have to cross the map to the other side to head into this strange palace. May I help you? Select the thing you like. Prices as marked. Apparently, we can buy a big pot of something here. A heart, a single heart, and 10 bombs. But I think there's something else we should check out first, because we only have 100 rupees right now. This nice fella over here. You, sir, have you been going through life without one of my hold anything bottles? Well, step right up and make your life complete. I've got one on sale. Now for the low, low price of 100 rupees. What do you say? Interested? I'll take one. Goodbye, thanks a lot. Now, hold it above your head for the whole world to see, okay? It's good for business. This is a magic bottle. You can store an item inside and then use it later. I find it funny how the game was very self-aware about its animations there. I think there's one more thing I want to do in this village before we go. Because right now we have several bottles, but nothing to fill them with. Were we in here already? Yeah. There's a guy in his bed. Let's smash his pots and grab his hearts and talk to him. I can't go out because I'm sick. People say I caught this cold from the evil air that is coming down off the mountain. This is my bug catching net. I'll use it when I'm better, but for now, I'll lend it to you. You borrowed the bug catching net. There may be some other things you can catch with it, too. So now we have containers, by which I mean the bottles, and we have a bug catching net. So when we find something we want to catch, we're prepared. Like the ferry we found earlier. And it's really sad that we found it before we had the net. Because we could have... oh, actually... Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Yeah. We caught a ferry. Mind the way it is spelled? The way ferry is being spelled here is more in line with the old folklore version, like with the Fae and everything, than the more modern way it is being spelled nowadays with F-A-I-R-Y. And I don't know, I just find that interesting to keep note of. And we will convince it to come with us for a while. Wanted! This is the criminal who kidnapped Zelda. Call a soldier if you see him. I don't think his nose is that long, but the cap is very telling. Like, look at the nose on the icon compared to Link. The icon looks way more like Pinocchio than Link. I don't know what these people who are apparently bored, why they would just accuse me of this. Actually, no, let's go. I was just thinking about whether we should take the way down here to there or the way up here, but we've partially been along both of them. And yeah, I think we don't have to walk through the whole village. Just to follow the lower path. Yeah, just change the hat, problem solved. We just need to find a tailor somewhere. Or just, I don't know, take it off. That would also be an option. But it isn't. This is a graveyard. There are several blocks. Those who look like you could pick them up, but we're not strong enough right now. And then there are other blocks that look, I don't know, rougher. Their color palette is darker. and there's an enemy who apparently has an infinite supply of tridents. This is a good example of what I was trying to show in the beginning. Our shield actually does something. And I don't know if this person is very good at throwing or very bad at throwing, because, well, he must be good at throwing, because he's hitting the shield very, very consistently. But that also means that he apparently has no intent of actually killing us. And a large amount of Oh, and a bee! Bee is interesting. We can also catch a bee. We caught them. Let's also keep that one. So right now, our two bottles are a bee and a fairy. The fairy we've convinced another soldier who apparently was out drinking last night and didn't make it home. Interesting. And decided to sleep in the graveyard. Graveyard and forest. Two interesting choices. What was I going to say? Yeah, the fairy, I'd like to imagine we've convinced to follow us. To the deal is more or less we show the fairy the world, and the fairy in return, should we be close to dying, she will free herself from the bottle and heal us. But then she will leave. Why do people just leave bombs in the grass? This is dangerous. And here's another interesting formation with a single push. And here's a big fairy. I will soothe your wounds and comfort your weariness. Close your eyes and relax. So apparently that's a way we can heal ourselves. Let's see if we can repeat that, or is this a one-time thing? Yeah, she's still there. Interesting. So this is a hidden little thing where you can just heal up for free if you need it. But what's interesting about games from this era is, whereas in modern games you would have spent the first hour reading through tutorials and reading through messages from NPCs that explain to you how every mechanic works, this game just hopes that you find them, more or less. Like, if you never investigated this bush, you would have had to fight enemies for hearts or cut down bushes. But once you notice this bush, once you know it is there, you can always go back there to heal yourself. And we were scammed of that rupee by the screen transition. Also, the mushroom, the bug net, and just knowing that you can catch the bee and the fairy with your bug net are also things that the game never told us about. If you manage to find out about these things, you get a big advantage, and if you don't, the game is just harder. Or there is a trap. And apparently here are archers. And they can run fairly fast to get away from me to be able to shoot me. But now we have arrows, which is also interesting. Because what are we supposed to do with arrows when we don't even have a bow yet? Is this even the right way? Am I going the right way? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm supposed to go down here. But actually, while we're here... why? These soldiers have a drinking problem. Or they just like to play hide and seek or something. Either way, it's a bit weird. This is a weird witch with a weird satanic little hut. And she's selling potions. Red is the medicine of life. Green is the medicine of magic. Blue renews both life and magic. Here, taste a sample of the red potion. Hehe. So this is where we can buy potions. We can fill up our bottles with them. We don't get any bottles or anything. We just have our bottles and fill them up. Here's a big rock that prevents us from continuing. Welcome to the magic shop. The waterfall of wishing is just ahead. Just ahead, but still far out of reach. But let's talk to the witch. The smell of rotten fruit. If you give me that mushroom, I can finish my brew. Let's give the witch her mushroom. Thank you, young man. Come back to the shop later for something good. Also, this thing I attacked earlier after knocking it out with a boomerang, but normally if you try to attack it, it's apparently a little, I don't know if it's supposed to be a slime, but it's definitely electrically charged. And tries to defend itself when you attack it. And now we're being presented with magic powder. Try to sprinkle it on enemies and many other things. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Making mushroom brew I am. And now we have magic powder. And notice how it went. It didn't went to a new item slot, but to the slot of the mushroom. We didn't have the mushroom anymore, so the space was reused. Let's sprinkle it on enemies and see what happens. And now try to explain what in the world the reasoning behind this is. Like, what is this magical powder, and are we actually putting it on the enemies, or this is just very surreal. Let's put it that way. It still doesn't help us defeat this enemy. We still have to fight it just the same. But it I don't know, it gave the cute little slime thing just a very, very weird face. And another soldier. But yeah, just wanted to pick up the magical powder real quick, now that we have that. Damn it. Now that we have the magical powder, we can go through this field of projectiles. And into the palace. Well, not into the palace. The Elder was supposed to hide somewhere here. We're supposed to find the Elder. And apparently there are just statues around here that start attacking you once you approach them. And they're fairly strong. They take 4 hits. There's a house here, let's check that out. That person looks like an elder. I am indeed Zahasrala, the village elder and a descendant of the 7 wise men. Oh really? Link, I am surprised. A young man like you is searching for the sword of evil's bane. Not just anyone can use that weapon. Legends say only the hero who has won the 3 pendants can wield the sword. Do you really want to find it? Well, I technically already found it, but I want to know about those pendants. Good. As a test, can you retrieve the Pendant of Courage from the East Palace? If you bring it here, I will tell you more of the legend and give you a magical artifact. Now, go forward to the palace. I also think that we've had enough of the overworld so far, and that it's time for our first real dungeon. The castle was more or less a tutorial dungeon. The workies, there was, like, okay, to be specific, what I mean, the castle had a dungeon, but a dungeon in that case is obviously just the lower floors of the building where people are being kept, and what Zelda usually means when people talk about dungeons are large, elaborate places where you fight lots of enemies to get some hidden treasure, like the Pendant of Courage. In this specific example, here in the East Palace. The dungeon in the castle was really just a tutorial dungeon. There might have been a big key, but yeah, it lacked some elements I would normally associate with a dungeon. We can talk more about that once we get inside here. I'll listen to the music. Very atmospheric. Just a single instrument so far. Very slow. And now it gets going. And I think this first bit actually just plays when you enter. And from now on, it's a loop of this multi-instrument track that just... that's more of a that has more energy to it, let's put it like that. We have 3 ways here, three choices of which way we want to go here. And one was closed off until we press this button here. Let's check out these from left to right. This one doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Like, there's not even a door on the other side. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense from... I am unable to find out what this would have been supposed to be if this was a real place in a real logical world. Just some building gone wrong, some construction going wrong. Or maybe there was supposed to be something here, and the construction stopped at some point. But one way or another, the buildings in this world really, the architects of this world really like designing places with lots of deep holes. Holes so deep that you can't see the ground, that light doesn't reach it. Something is apparently shooting balls here. There are some rupees here. Now that you see this, I think it's more likely to think that this place was actually designed as a test. Like, this wasn't a place where someone was living or anything. That wouldn't make any sense at all, given this room. Given this room, it's more likely that this room was, that this entire palace was designed as some sort of challenge. Perhaps to house this pendant of courage. And in that context, maybe those half-constructed bridges were actually a test, like the most simple test to test any reckless adventurer, whether they're actually looking where they're going or whether they fall down. Apparently, not only worms inhabit this place, but also moving skeletons. And these skeletons are also interesting because they can jump. Not only do they jump, but they jump backwards while looking at you. Even when you stand behind them, they turn around to face you and then jump backwards. Here's a little red thing. And this is a very annoying enemy, because we can't hit it, but it hurts. It hurts a lot. But let me show you something. Let's release the fairy. And let's use the magic powder on this thing that apparently we can't... Like, I can prove it to you with the boomerang. There, it went through it. There, it even bounced off it, apparently. Lighting it on fire won't do anything either, and the bug catching that, I don't think, no, nothing. But if we use the magic powder on this one, Okay, that was too quick to see it, but did you see that my life went up? It hurt me earlier, but now I have life points again. This thing actually turns into a fairy when you sprinkle magic powder on it. Let's have a look at our current position. This dungeon seems not that complicated. 2 floors. One of them is very, very large, but it's only 2 floors, so it's still fairly easy to keep track of what's going on. And there's nothing to either side of that. So what did we get there? Did we get anything at all? Ah, the map, right. In dungeons, we usually need to pick up keys to progress. And there weren't any on the left side. So usually... okay. This also makes sense when you think about it. You can't stun skeletons with a boomerang. Because stunning them, when you think about it, works by hitting an enemy in the head and knocking them unconscious. And yeah, skeletons probably don't really... That concept doesn't really apply to skeletons that are being kept alive. This room is really nice because of these little floor decorations. And the skeletons just poof into existence. Once again, pot supremacy. Strongest weapon in the game. I don't know. I don't think it's actually the strongest weapon in the game, just to be, just to make sure. You found the compass. Now you can pinpoint the lair of the dungeon's evil master. Yeah, so what I was saying in the beginning. The castle wasn't really a dungeon because, one, it didn't have this music, and second, it didn't have a compass. If you wanted to classify that last fight as a boss fight of the dungeon, then we didn't get a compass to point the way towards there. Link, it is I, the Hazrala. I can talk to you telepathically when you touch these tiles. Here is a hint. You can use the treasure hidden in this palace to defeat armored foes. I also have no idea what in the world this is supposed to be. Like... okay, he tells us it's a tile. But I don't know, it just looks a bit out of place, and I think this might have been one of the points of the weakest game design. Because this, I don't know, why is this here? Why can the Elder talk to us through it? And why does it look like this? Why is it a gray, weird little tile with a triangle on it? Okay, the triangle might be related to the Triforce, that would make sense, but why is it gray then? Like, if it was golden, I would understand, but I don't know. This is one of the things I always found the weirdest about these games. About this game specifically. This is another one way. We can push this block, but can't pull it. And you can only go through here through the other side. Yeah, who needs the Master Sword if you can have a pot? Has anyone ever tried defeating the evil wizard with a pot? Maybe someone should. Look at how it just destroys skeletons. Look at how it destroys these evil, one-eyed, scary things, Cyclopses, who are apparently very tired all the time. I can relate. They do 5 seconds of work and then they have to take a little nap. It looks like a mailbox. Yeah? But yeah, I can see that, but it still doesn't really make sense to me. It really feels like they knew they wanted to put in a way of the elder contacting you, and they just left it to the intern who just built something, maybe a mailbox, slapped a triangle on it, and called it a day. Ah, more of these. I'm really good at turning them into fairies immediately without being able to show you that they turn into fairies. Let's head through this door first. That's one of the keys we need. And the game doesn't tell you anything about it. If you headed into this room and fought the enemies and picked up a few pots and thought there was nothing in here, you would have started to run all throughout the dungeon looking for a key. So I can understand why this game, by today's standards, would seem very frustrating if you just gave it into the hands of a modern player, because it really just it asks a lot of you. And it's not very forgiving, and it's not explaining everything. More arrows than we could ever carry. And let me see if I can actually... Oh, okay. It looks like these enemies are coded differently from the normal ones. I think they're specifically there to protect this pot, and so they're not actually the normal enemy type, but something different here, so they don't interact normally with this powder. And now they've been set free. 4 more tries to actually see a fairy. It's not easy, I can tell you that much. That was a bad idea. Do we still have a fairy? We don't. Well, let's talk about game overs. Save and continue. We are being reset to the start of the dungeon. But we still have the map, we still have the compass. Most things we've done are still there. If we would have had any keys, when we died, we still would have them. So a game over just means being teleported back to the start of the dungeon. Which in later dungeons, which are larger and more complex, is obviously more annoying. But I think right now it should be okay. Let's ignore these. Why are they? Oh god. I'm not really sure why it took such a long time for them to spawn. Perhaps the area was... You had to stop into that middle area or something? Oh, oh. Can't take those pots with you. We need a big key to open this one, and we need a big key to open that chest. And here are some conspicuous missing guardrails where we can let ourselves drop in there, by the way, to just stock up on ferries so we don't have to go game. Oh my god. I actually was trying to... I had in mind to release the bee and just take 2 ferries, but I am really good at just picking them up instead of doing what I actually want to do with the ferries. Also, if you think about it, the definition of floor is not really strict here. Like maybe openly connected rooms. What I mean to talk about is we're currently above the thing we can see down there, but this is all on the same floor. If we go by the map. And now we're at this part again. Well, we finally got the big key, and I think this path up there is a shortcut. Oh my god. Yeah. I hope this is a shortcut. Exactly the one we were talking about earlier. Perfect, perfect. So we're taking this shortcut, heading to the left, back to the big room. No, to the right, to the right. To the right, back to the big room. With a big door and the big chest. This is the hidden treasure the elder was talking about. A bow. We can shoot arrows until we run out, and currently we have 30. The game has been supplying us... okay. These skeletons have some more tricks to them. but they disappeared as quickly as they showed up, apparently. Yeah, so the game was supplying us with arrows for a while, so now we're actually full and have 30 of them to start using them. This area can be a bit annoying. Unless we make light. But we don't have that much magic energy. And these foes... Oh my god, oh my god. They have armor. That is what the game was telling us earlier. They have armor, we can't... It's hard to attack them normally, but we were told earlier that armored foes are... that it's good to attack armored foes with arrows. Let me just take a sip of water. And I'm back. Let's continue. We found a key from one of them, so we can head to the right side if we want, to the left side if we want. But let's check out this side first. There are rupees to be taken here. And we don't have any magic, so we don't even need to try to turn them into fairies. Three enemies here. It's not that good that we trigger two at the same time, but they move very predictably, so it's not that big of a deal. Come on, wake up, wake up. I'm too slow. Apparently most of these pressure plates are fake. And this room looks very annoying. So let's get right out of here. There's a red one here. So let's maybe defeat these skeletons. Like this. And save the pots for this one. Oh no. Come on. Well, arrows then. Perfect. And now we're in front of a door that has two claws, perhaps, and eyes next to them. And the door almost looks like a mouth in that context. And on the floor in front of it, there are black tiles with some horned being on there. Very much screaming evil. But there's nothing in there just yet. Oh my god, these are a bit annoying. I managed to shoot the arrow between the two of them instead of hitting either. One is gone, and the second is about to go as well. Perfect. Let's heal up, restock. One thing that is a point of criticism is that the music isn't very... the loop isn't that long and it doesn't have a lot of variety. It's very repetitive. Like, I don't know. And apparently this is already the boss room. Just needed to complain about lack of variety in music, and now we have boss music. I'm trying to spread the damage across them, because when there's only one left, he gets angry. And I didn't manage to do what I actually wanted, which is to damage him. So he was easier to take care of, but we did it anyway. And I find it really funny that the cue of changing music is not defeating the enemy, but picking up the heart. And not even the pendant is showing up. Like, a random heart container dropped here, and we're stuck in this room. Is what you would be thinking if you wouldn't just pick it up and wouldn't think about it any longer. You need to pick it up for this pendant to be dropped, and then still the music doesn't change. And only now we're allowed to leave. The game really wants to make sure we take both of those with us. You won the Pendant of Courage. Take it to the Hazrallah. 2 pendants remain. Well, then let's make our way over to him. I think we're going to head to him and do one more dungeon. And that will likely be it for today. So, one more dungeon. Oh, you got the Pendant of Courage. Now I will tell you more of the legend. What was he expecting? Why is he so surprised? Did he just send a young boy into a palace filled with death traps and enemies for fun? Or what is his reason for being so surprised? Did he not expect us to get this back? 3 or 4 generations ago, an order of knights protected the royalty of the Hylia. These knights of Hyrule were also guardians of the Pendant of Courage. Unfortunately, most of them were destroyed in the Great War against Evil that took place when the 7 wise men created their seal. Among the descendants of the Knights of the Hyrule, a hero must appear. I see. Link, I believe you. You should get the remaining pendants and carry this with you. This is a treasure passed down by the families of the wise men. I want you to have it. And now take a second and think about what you would expect at this point. This is a treasure passed down by the families of the wise men. Whatever you were thinking about it, this isn't it. He gives you the Pegasus shoes. Now you can execute a devastating dash attack. Hold the A button for a short time. A helpful item is hidden in the cave on the east side of Lake Hylia. Get it. Also, we picked up a bomb at some point, I just noticed. Which is good, because now we can blow up his house. And we're really, really rich. 400 rupees. So, east of Lake Hylia. Also, look below. The A button has a new option. Now, with these boots, with this legendary treasure that has been passed down along the lines of wise men for centuries, apparently, we are able to run. It seems that the wise men were really, really interested in getting quickly from one place to another. To the east of Lake Hylia. That would mean all the way around there. Oh, and yeah. So now on the map we can see to the bottom left there is one of the pendants, and to the top there is one of the pendants. And in the top left, obviously, the Master Sword that we've already known about and already seen. Oh. Oh god, this hurts. Let's buy some bombs here. And make our way to the palace on the bottom left. The overworld music, in comparison to the dungeon music, is one way more iconic, and because it is probably better in quality, it managed to survive its way through over the years. But another sign of it being better is just that I personally enjoy listening to it for a longer time way more than I do listening to that dungeon music we listened to earlier. I don't know how many instruments were in the last one, but it seems like there are 3 instruments playing currently. And take a look at this. It doesn't make the sound of a cave, but it still looks odd. Let's place a bomb. Another fairy that heals us for free. Most likely, I think. Let's check. Okay, yeah, right. And in other games, you might think that after discovering something like this, it would be marked on the map somehow, but not in this one. Again, 1 megabyte in which everything had to fit. So if you want to remember that there is a ferry over here, and a ferry down here where you can heal. I guess in 1991, you would have had to draw your own version of the map and make your own notes. This area seems to be a lot of grass. The screen transitions can be a bit jarring at times. Also the slowdowns. It was not due to my PC. That slowdown just now was being emulated. Like, that was because the console was... The way the console worked was having trouble with that scene. Here is a little interesting thing, but let's ignore it for now. We have a pendant to grab. Only 3 pendants apparently, and then we can get the Master Sword and defeat the evil wizard and finish the game. So instead of 2 things, now it's gone up to 5. But still manageable, right? Pay no attention to the average middle-aged man standing by this sign. Leave him alone. It's also just very interesting. There's just a man out here sitting next to a sign that says to leave him alone. And he's not happy if we grab the sign. It's not like he's attacking us or anything, but he's just following us around. And... why did you take my sign? It says plain as day to just leave me alone. Sheesh! He gets even angrier when we throw it away. We had no option of putting it back on the ground, so... I guess we found a temporary follower. Party size increased by 1 or something. I'm sure average middle-aged man will be very helpful in the fight against the wizard. You can't enter with something following you. With something following you. That's an interesting way to put it. Let's head into the desert and see if he follows us there. No, he doesn't. He doesn't like the desert. The 3rd fountain that's been placed to heal us. Also, can we talk about what these things are doing? I don't know what... I have trouble putting it into words. It just looks so goofy, the way they're dancing while shaking their hands. These little sandmen. And why are these birds so tanky? Let's visit the ferry we just discovered. And not run into any mines. Also, as you might have noticed already, you can run alongside these edges. If you run into a straight wall, you bounce off of it. But if you run against a slope, you just run alongside it. I am Agina. I sense something is happening in the Golden Land. The 7 wise men sealed. This must be an omen of the great cataclysm foretold by the people of Hylian blood. The prophecy says the hero will stand in the desert, holding the Book of Mudora. If you have the Book of Mudora, you can read the language of the Hylia people. It should be in the House of Books in the village. House of Books. Also called a library. You can do it, you're the hero, is what he said there. Once again, I found the hint before actually running into the problem the hint is about. I'm being very efficient. If we would have just gone here, where we want to continue, we would have seen there are some weird rock, reptile, whatever things that are blocking the way. And apparently being able to read the Hylian script will save us. So I guess we need to head to the library. But first, let's heal up again. The village is to the left, and this will also be an opportunity to see what the soldiers were preventing us, to the area the soldiers were preventing us to walk along in the beginning of the game here. Because there's this little clearing here. Where there is a boy playing a flute in harmony with nature, but it looks like he's an illusion or something, because he just disappears. Also, since we just found another bomb in the bushes again, I find it just very interesting that other Zelda games have treated bombs like a dungeon treasure. In general, ammunition, both bombs and arrows. Normal games don't allow you to find any arrows before you have a bow, the modern Zelda ones, because it would confuse a player, but A Link to the Past just said, let's just do that. It would be more effort to put in a little switch that would say the player has the bow, so let's start dropping the arrows. So we get access early, but just can't do anything with it. And this music, I don't know, to me, knowing what this is, it just screams gambling. Pay me 20 rupees and I'll let you open one chest. You can keep what is inside. What will you do? We made a loss of 19, and the game is over, but I think we can restart it if we head back in there. I think there is a heart piece to be won here. Let's give it one... let's give it three tries overall. Okay. Not wasting any more time here. So we have to find the library. The House of Books. This is a house. And it has a book on it. Looks like a library. Perhaps it's not a library because there's no librarian or anything. Like, the concept of a library is a fairly defined and strict thing, and perhaps this is just a thing this village has, where people store their books together. But yeah, to me, House of Books sounded weird. So, how do we get this book? We do the thing that every wise man would have done in our position, and we use the sacred tool that's been passed down from wise men to wise men, and we take a running start with our Pegasus boots and crash our head into this bookshelf. Truly making our ancestors proud. You found the Book of Medora. You can use it to read the ancient language of the Hylia. Two more little things I want to do before we head to the dungeon. Yeah, Link, now I'm quarreling with my younger brother. I sealed the door to his room. His brother has no way... All of these people have no way of returning once they jump down here. Like, he just sealed this entire field off. Actually, I think there are some walls that you can actually also just smash in with the full force of your body. So, yeah, these wise men really knew what they were doing when they created these magnificent boots. Truly a magnificent skill to have. That is correct. Hey Link, did you come from my older brother's room? Is he still angry? But what I was going to do is... If you can reach the goal within 15 seconds, we will give you something good. Ready, set, go! Oh god, that was not what I meant to do. This try, your time was 0 minutes and 10 seconds. You qualified. Congratulations. I present you with a piece of heart. The organ harvesting market in Hyrule is really going through the roof. People just bartering pieces of hearts. So we did that, and remember this nice little man here? He was running away, but now we're faster. Wait! Okay, never mind. Give me another. We are faster, but the game trolls us. Let me show you. When we approach him with fast speed... Wait, he's not there anymore. He actually left the map. Okay, interesting. What I was saying is, the game stopped me. The game didn't allow me to run into him. It just stopped my movement before I was touching him, and then I was confused, and then I didn't run. The game scammed me, basically. So now I run the other way around, I guess. But in theory, we are fast enough to catch him. Also, apparently this person can just run through trees, which is also... Apparently his ancestor were tree people or something. So, now, final showdown. I can't believe you caught me! With your speed, it must have been easy to kidnap Zelda. You don't look like such a bad guy, though. Anyway, because you have such quick feet, it might be a good idea to run and bash into many things. For example, the trees in this village have many useful things hanging in the branches. Well, just try it, okay? So he doesn't actually give us anything but information. And with that out of the way, let's head to the desert to read a book. If only we could lift this rock. It would save us so much time. We wouldn't have to go around all of this. Wait, what? Alright, take it, thief. I honestly don't know what happened there. I think that was some event where you cut open the grass and someone appears and tries to run from you, but we're just too good for that. But yeah, let's keep the bee. Many mysteries in this game still to be solved. Come on. And now I want you to take a close look at Link's sprite. When we pull out this book, you hear this little sound. This means that we can't use this item at the moment, because it's only to translate things. And now look at his sprite. To open the way to go forward, make your wish here, and it will be granted. He's holding the little book. And now he prayed. And his wish was granted. For this little interaction, they use a number of sprites for Link. I don't think they are being reused very often. So, a desert dungeon. with the laser beams. Our shield might be good enough for normal projectiles, but I don't think it can handle lasers. Once again, you heard the little intro to the dungeon, and now the same loop from earlier starts. Sadly, there wasn't enough memory to go around to write a new soundtrack for each of the dungeons, so most of them will be reusing this one, which is a shame, because it destroys a part of the feeling of the dungeons to just have it be the same music again and again and again. It would have been a chance to make them feel more unique, but they didn't. They were unable to. Map. So let's take a look. 3 floors this time. But again, one big one and the rest isn't that much in comparison. I have a gut feeling that in these rooms there isn't much to be picked up. I think these are trap rooms more or less. Also, this robot doesn't really do anything. Is it a robot? Is it a statue? Because of our modern understanding, we would likely call it a robot. Ah, okay, this is the item room. Good that we know that already. But what I was going to say, calling it a robot doesn't fit with the fantasy theme of the game. So calling it a statue would be more like it. Link, it is I, Zasrala. You must never fail to find all the treasures in each dungeon. And apparently we're also not allowed to run into him. Give me another second, I'll just have another sip of water. And I'm back. I think you have to push one of these blocks here. I think the torches are a red herring. Yeah, exactly. Earlier the game taught you about how sometimes you have to light all of these in order to open something up, but this time it actually required you to push a block. But it was only for some healing. And we can head outside here, but it's not the way we came in. We're exiting over the tongue of one of these weird frog things. And down here is another heart piece. So now we've got 2. I didn't explain this earlier, but once you have 4, you get another full heart. And here we can see, apparently, we will need some way of lifting these rocks. So this dungeon apparently is going to be Link's training montage, where he just sits for 4 weeks and just lifts pots all days. Interesting. I was supposed to be caught in that sand there and be drawn into it. Oh god, this one's shooting things. But I think I stalled the movement. I think... Okay, this is another one that shoots. I don't want that. I think the way the game is coded, you can't attack with your sword while you're being moved. So attacking overrides you from being sucked into the sand, is what it looked like to me there. And I think this is just a trap room where you get punished for entering it. And I don't think you even get anything. We were in there before. Actually, let me check something. Okay, no. Not this one. I'm having a bit of trouble remembering what to do in this place. Because it's not really... It's just so open and there are so many doors and you have to keep track of which you already visited and which you didn't. I think we... Yeah, the right wing is where we haven't been yet. This is another exit. I don't think we want to go there yet. We need a key. Okay, we already got the key. That's good. So let's go through the store first. The compass? I don't know what this is, but okay. Running is often a good idea. You got the big key. This is the master key of the dungeon. It can open many locks that small keys cannot. So with that, we can check out if there's anything we can do on the right. That's another one of those death traps, I guess? Or a test of... in universe, it's a test of... well, recklessness again, and it's the same thing if you view it on the player plane, on the game design plane. It's just something to punish you if you're not careful where you're looking. So we have the key, and we already know where the treasure is on this floor. So let's head there. This is annoying. We might die here. Okay. Good. The second from the right. That's not actually the room where the item was. It was to on the top left, not the bottom left. In here. And I think... yeah. You got the Power Glove. You can feel strength in both hands. You can pick up and carry stones now. Again, from a point of pure logic, it shouldn't just be the hands. These gloves would have to have an effect on your entire upper body, more or less, or at least your arms. But maybe that's just being pedantic. But we can pick these up now! Let's head into the scary cave with the claws. And push around more stones. And face an interesting room in an interesting way. This room, you're supposed to run around and dodge all of these tiles. But if you know that this room is coming, you can just stand in the door and use this area where the door is as protection. The tiles will never be able to hit you. You can just watch the little skull emerge and just let them do its thing. Let them do their thing. Another interesting room, at least there are guardrails here. You can see the floor below you. It's not that it's so deep that there's only blackness, as we've seen in the castle and the previous dungeon before. It's just a bridge over an empty room. Here we can see several places that we can light on fire with no good reason being given why we would do that. Let's do it and see if anything happens. Nothing. Just another diversion or decoration. Not falling for their tricks. It's obvious to me that these rooms are tile flinging rooms, let's call them that, because they're empty. You head into the room and it's completely empty, and you know that that's wrong. Every room has to have something. And normally you could, like, get your sword out and destroy each of them, but I have fun standing in the door and just watching and just watch the game defeat itself, basically. So the last time we saw this on the floor, it wasn't actually the boss at that point, but another little room before the boss room. Let's see if it'll be like that this time again, or if it's directly the boss room. Again. So we apparently just misinterpreted it. The skeleton on the floor just signifies that this is the room before the room where the boss is. And for some reason, I'm very bad at throwing these pots now. But what's going on here? Oh, this is very interesting. There's a wall here. The room just ends. This room is just empty. But remember earlier when I taught you that you can check walls by banging your sword into them? You just hold out your sword and run into the wall. But when you try that here, look at my feet. I'm trying to run into the wall, but there's no sound. So this wall must be an illusion or something. Like it's not even something that you should bump away or anything. It's just like the wall isn't even there. There's nothing to make a sound. Or it's a wall that's just not coded very well. But I like my explanation better. And let's do the second pendant fight. These things, if you were wondering, when they emerge, they shoot a pattern, a cross pattern of dirt. I also don't know what they are supposed to be. They look like very, very fancy earthworms. But I don't know any earthworms which are flying around in the sky. Or perhaps they're just very slowly jumping through the air with a lot of force. Maybe they're not flying. But once again, it's not one boss, but several of the same type. The first boss were 9. 9 enemies that were only dangerous because of the number. This time it's 3 enemies that are where each one of them is more dangerous on their own, but there's only 3 of them instead of 9. And once again, the last one changes their pattern. This time, they start shooting out the dirt in 8 directions. I only have 2 hearts, I should finish this. I have a parry, right? Yeah, okay. And we've done it again. Paced the palace, defeated the boss. And retrieved another pendant. You won the pendant of power. Your goal of finding 3 pendants is in sight. Go for the last one. Well, not today. Let's save and quit here. Look at the title screen one more time. Let me thank you for watching. And maybe we'll see each other next time. This was it for me for today. I hope you had fun. I definitely had fun. And yeah, that's it for me.